Is this thing on? Can anybody hear me? How are we all doing? There's nobody here. Just going to make sure that this is working. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Checking, checking, checking. Alright, it's coming through. I don't know where my headphones are. So currently I am watching myself live stream to myself. That's fun. It's funny how the internet works, isn't it now? Zero viewers. Should I start talking? I mean, some people watch the based on my YouTube analytics, it seems as though people watched the last live stream after it was streamed, which is nice. Which makes me think that, you know, it's still worthwhile talking rather than just sitting in silence, perhaps waiting for somebody to show up. The traffic source suggested videos is number 1, home decor, shop with me, new fall decor 2020 at Home Goods, plus JCPenney, plus full apartment tour. Also, Amazon lingerie haul part 7, waste is snatched, affordable lingerie, affordable clothing. Interesting that that is where I'm getting traffic from. Bit strange, bit disturbing, not quite what I'm about, what this channel is about, you know. This is a comics channel. Don't know too much about lingerie, don't have too much in terms of lingerie. I could say a few things about home decor though. Not so much from JCPenney or whatever the other place was. Just give me 1 second. No, I'm not gonna bother getting headphones. What's the point, really? Alright, what did I want to talk about? Well, I'll start off, give a state of the vlog address, just as I did last time. Pretty good week for the vlog in terms of views. Started off with, on Tuesday with the podcast on Monday didn't do quite as well as the episode last week on logistics, which is, you know, one of the highest, I mean, it's up there in the highest all-time views, and certainly in the top 10, but that is especially remarkable because, you know, it's an hour-long podcast episode, but, you know, obviously it had Jasper Burns attached to it, and he has a pretty big online following, so, yeah. I got a lot of followers on Twitter just from my tweet saying that, you know, we had recorded an episode and it was a really good record, but that got a lot of views. But this week's episode of the pod, I didn't even really promote it at all because I was pretty embarrassed by it. I still, my pinned tweet on Twitter is for the last episode on logistics, but this episode was so bad. It's about like a race theory essay. It's a very dense essay in its own right, very difficult to understand, but I think we just did a pretty bad job, and it brought out a lot of our, you know, the kind of the blind spots that come with being a white guy in this society, and it's kind of embarrassed by it, so I didn't promote it too heavily, but it's still got, you know, a good amount of views. I think it's sitting around 50 at least. Let's see. And then on Tuesday, I had my John Raffman first video of the week. Okay, so it's currently at 49. The podcast episodes have 49 views, and the average view duration is 4 minutes. It's not bad. I mean, it's about normal for our episodes. Hopefully, presumably, as ever, I'm assuming optimistically that people are, getting into it and deciding to download the MP3 and listen to it on the go, because it's just such dense and engaging material. They need to listen to it while they're, in their typical podcast rotation, while they're out and about, not while they don't want to get too far into it, and while they're sitting in front of their laptop just momentarily, but whatever. And then on Tuesday I put out the John Raffman video. I was expecting that to do decently, just because clickbait, a lot of hot keywords in that, cancellation, and John Raffman himself has a pretty big following, and the story has died down quite a bit. I think I would have done a lot more videos if I had done a video. I mean, I did do a video when the event was happening, but I very deliberately, I was too shy to use actual keywords and try to really enter into the discourse. So that didn't really, and also I didn't have any followers then. So that didn't get many views, but now that the furor has died down a bit and the story's a bit colder, I mean, it's still got a decent amount of views just going off of the keywords, because there's a lot of people interested in that sort of thing, and I think somebody promoted on Twitter. I don't know how they found it, but some account with tens of thousands of followers promoted on Twitter and really just used the occasion to do their own whole rant about cancellation, and kind of talk shit about the alleged victims or whatever. And I really didn't agree with the content of that person's Twitter thread, as I said on Twitter when I retweeted it. According to the analytics, it got a little bit of traffic from Twitter. I don't think he probably really engaged with the video. I highly doubt that he watched it, and I'm sure most of his followers also did not watch it and were just using it as an opportunity to talk shit about cancel culture, or to talk shit about John Raffman, without actually trying to get into the more generalizable kind of topics that I was trying to get at, of transformative justice, and the kind of trying to get at the meaning behind cancel culture and what it means more generally. They people in this particular story are just so focused on thinking about the actual allegations of the women and the quality of the stories that have been posted on this Instagram account, and they don't. I mean, whatever. I don't care about that, as I've said so many times. I'm really so sick of talking about this. I in my last video, I said that I was going to do one final video on the topic, but I could not bring myself to, because it's just so fucking boring. Anyway, I really don't care about any of it. But it was a good week. That video got a lot of views, and then my Transforming Society with Transformative Justice on Wednesday got a decent amount of views, sitting at 122. 5 likes and 2 down votes, 2 dislikes, 2 thumbs down. That makes sense to me. That wasn't the best video. It wasn't totally focused on what I was trying to talk about. But then, Thursday's video, what can cancel culture learn from China's Cultural Revolution, did quite well. It's doing better, just slightly better, but it did like got a lot more views in a much shorter period of time than the John Raffman video. It's only at 234 versus 229 for the John Raffman video, but it got so many views like really quickly. It really took off, and it has 14 likes and only one thumbs down. 14 likes is quite a few likes for me. Looking here, a lot of my videos seem to be around like 7 or 8, 6, 4, 5, 9, 9, 4. I guess my likes has gone up without me really noticing it, but yeah, so that video did quite well. I think it's honestly mostly because of the thumbnail. The thumbnail is really great. And then I think it has like a pretty high average watch time because I was kind of like summarizing. Shit, my phone is buzzing. Just give me 1 second. But I think it has a high average watch time because I was like summarizing like an actual essay rather than just rambling as I'm doing now to nobody. But yeah, so like the concepts were there. I was able to, you know, like pretty succinctly go through them, and you know, Assad is like a really smart guy and a great writer, and the topic itself is very important. So I think people were actually pretty interested in that. Just give me 1 second. There's an echo. My girlfriend who is watching is telling me that there's an echo. Excuse me, you're not welcome here. I don't know what to do about the echo. Maybe it's because of this. Is there still an echo? Echo, 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 echo. Well, I guess I should try to figure that out. Just try to go to the link here, milk and cookies. Yes, I was eating milk and cookies. Let's see how it sounds. Muted. I can't hear an echo. But then I'm just looking at myself, staring at myself, trying to hear an echo. I fucked up. What a world we live in. That's enough of that. What was I saying before I was so rudely interrupted by my one viewer telling me that there's a fundamental problem with the technical aspect of what I'm doing. Anyway, so then Friday's video, 104 views. I put it up pretty late, and yeah, I assume that most people in the world, I guess I'm still an Eastern Standard Time supremacist, pretty new to being on the West Coast, and I think I assume, probably rightly, it seems, that most people are operating by the Eastern Standard Time, and I put this video up pretty late on a Friday, like late afternoon, and so it took like a long time to get any views, but it's still at 104. It seems like 100 and like around 100 is like what I'm averaging in terms of views, which is pretty nice. You're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. It used to be like a few months ago even, I was very happy to get just like over 10. To get over double digits was pretty exciting for me. But now, I mean, I have 2 videos from the past week that are over 200, and the more I keep doing this, the more I'm getting closer I'm getting to 100 average. Anyway, what I will say, what I noticed that from this week, from the data, from the analytics, is that there are a fair amount of views. Like I think I got more like viral by my standard videos this week, but I don't think that I got as many, like a proportionate amount of subscribers. Didn't gain too many subscribers. I'm still sitting at 157. Again, it's still like quite remarkable because like I think about 4 weeks ago I was at like less than 50. So, it's still climbing quite steadily, but I didn't get any like big bumps in subscribers this week. Whatever. Um, what else is I going to talk about? Oh yeah, I guess I did say that I would spill some gossip on something happened relating to the John Raffman thing. Is it unethical? I don't know. Like the whole thing that happened just makes me feel really infuriated. So I'm not inclined to like be generous and not talk about it. I won't get into too much detail, but I don't think anybody cares. It's kind of like, even though Raffman is like a internationally renowned artist, and he has like a decent amount of credibility, and like it's not fair to just say that he's like some kind of local artist. At the same time, like, nobody cares about art. You really have to be invested in that world. You have to be already committed to art to care, much less know about him. So I don't really expect anybody here is interested in that, but it's still kind of funny. Basically, like the day after I put out my video where I used John Raffman as a keyword, his girlfriend slash wife, I don't know why she felt the need to tell me that she was his girlfriend, but now his wife, messaged me on Twitter and basically sent me like a like 1,000 word little essay, like talking shit about the people who had posted the sexual misconduct allegations against him on the Surviving the Art World Instagram account, like getting into like extensive detail about how they're liars and how calculated and like manipulative it was, how like it was such a travesty of justice. Like there's no due process. Like their entire thing was to like try to pressure these institutions from the beginning to like drop him as a as an artist. And they just wanted to like slander and smear him from the beginning, and like there's no basis for anything that they were saying. I don't think she outright said that they were lying or anything, but yeah, she was like really, she went into detail about how false everything was. And then I responded and said like yeah, whatever. I guess I could see that for myself. Like I wasn't particularly taken with the stories that are on the Instagram account. Like there's some, as I think the one that really sticks out in my mind as just being absolutely insanely like bad and completely irrelevant. It was actually relevant to another artist. It wasn't about John Raffman, but I mean, I'm inclined to believe her to some extent. I mean, I think that the fact that there's so many different women alleging things along the same lines indicates that something fishy is going on. And maybe he didn't like do anything that was like criminal to any of these people or something that couldn't be like tried in a court of law. But it still indicates, and maybe like he is participating in like a more widely spread socially acceptable kind of culture, like hookup culture. But it doesn't mean that he didn't do something wrong. But yeah, I mentioned that I had seen an account on Instagram posted on somebody's personal profile that actually seemed a lot more convincing to me, and it seems like that person in particular was like alleging a more straight up like rape case. And then she like again had like she already knew what that was, of course, and like did a whole fucking like long ass response about how again that was totally false, and that person was basically, she called them like unhinged or something along those lines. She suggested that they were like unbalanced and just completely untrustworthy, and basically smearing everything that they were saying, which is just so fucked up for so many different reasons. To like go around like attacking the character of these women, like whatever happened to believe women, and also it's just deeply embarrassing and cringy for the girlfriend of this person who is facing cancellation, real material repercussions for things that they've done or allegedly done, to be going around. Because like I realized that like if you go on any fucking thing on the internet that is about this, any like news article that has a comment section, any social media post, if you search John Raffman on Twitter, anything that is about this, she is there in the comments defending him and smearing the people who, and the people who posted their stories and the Instagram account itself. It's deeply embarrassing. And I asked her if her boyfriend, now husband, knew about it, and she was very very unwilling to give me a straight answer. And like when I said this is extremely embarrassing and you should not be doing this for his own sake, she was like, "Oh, I didn't think about that." It's completely ridiculous. Something else is texting me. What is wrong this time? Turn off computer audio. Fuck. Computer audio is off. Fixed. You turn off your computer audio. Also, quit watching me. Well, there are two people here who are. There are at least two people here. I wonder if they're robots. Do robots show up to live streams? Quit texting me. Okay, it's fixed. I get it. Thank you. I'm turning on silent. So that's that. That is that on that. That's the last I'll say about that. Isn't that funny? How embarrassing for John Raffman. I used to sort of I used to serve him on a like very regular basis. He would go into the restaurant that I worked at, and I didn't even really know who he was at the time. Like I think I had heard from coworkers who like hated him. He was very hated in the restaurant community and by everybody who I worked with. Um, and I believe that like I thought at the time like, oh, this guy is somebody, but I didn't really know who he was. I didn't know the name John Raffman, but it's pretty surprising to when this story broke to see the image and just put it to this asshole who would always come in. And I guess the one like the most meaningful conversation we had is when I was playing a lot of like Canadian Montreal indie rock, like the Unicorns or something. He like said something about how he liked it. All right, moving on. Well, I don't really have anything else to talk about. There were more people here last week. Um, oh yeah, I guess. Well, I'm gonna turn on the lamp first. Just give me 1 second. Well, since nobody is really here and I don't really have anything like deep that I want to discuss, I'm going to save that for the actual videos that I put out. I'll just continue talking about my thoughts on the channel itself, which is pretty, a masturbatory topic to discuss, but it's something that I can talk about, and it's not something that I feel like I should actually make real videos about. It's not interesting to anybody, so it's fitting to save it for this uh, live stream. Anyway, so I realized yesterday, I think, that I was watching the channel, some vlogs on another channel of this, guy that I watch shamedly. Um, and I knew that like some people do this who are like working in the same genre of YouTube video that I'm working in. That a lot of people will actually just like record a bunch of videos all at once, and then obviously you can like schedule them to be you can upload them all at the same time and then just schedule them out. And yeah, basically I decided that that is what I'm going to do, or at least I'm going to try to do it. Record like 5 videos on Monday, which is the day that I have. It's like a kind of buffer in the weekdays, just because that's the day that the podcast comes out. So yeah, I'll try to like record 5 videos all at once and then make all the thumbnails and upload them and schedule them out, write all the descriptions. And then the only thing from there is the only thing that I would have to do on each day, the only actual like um, real time kind of labor that I have to put in is like scheduling or posting them on Reddit. There are ways to do that. I was using like an online website that will do it, but it's like they only give you like a limited amount of posts per month, and then you have to pay. But just searching on GitHub, there are like many different projects in Python and whatnot for basically accomplishing the same thing, like scheduling posting on Reddit. So I am going to look into that just so that I can minimize the amount of labor that I'm putting into this, because not to say, I mean, that's not a great thing to admit, that I am very committed to cutting down the amount of time that I'm putting into this, but that's just how it is. I don't really like the way that I'm doing it now. Every day of the week, I'm like spending usually around like an hour and a half to 2 hours, thinking. It's true. I do think about what I'm going to say before I say it, at least a little bit, and then actually recording. Sometimes it's necessary to do more than one take, embarrassing as that is to admit. And then making the thumbnail, just rendering the video file out to like a smaller file takes usually around like 45 minutes on my laptop. And then posting to all the various subreddits and everything, it takes usually around hour and a half, 2 hours. And I think if I just did that all at once in one day, then it would just be like a way more efficient way to do this. And then it also helped me in terms of like spending less time focusing on the analytics, which is an unhealthy habit, I have to admit. Something that I do get fixated on, because it's very nice to see the numbers going up and everything. But obviously I'd still want to spend a bit of time per day just to see if there are any comments. People are not commenting enough. If you're watching this, try commenting more. But yeah, I think if I just like spent an entire day, or like just like several hours, like one longer period in one day, getting it all done, then it'd just be a more efficient way of doing all the work figuring it all out. Who knows if the quality of the video is not going to be really affected because the quality of the videos is quite low already. Um, what else can I talk about? Oh yeah, I had to ban somebody or block somebody on Reddit. Somebody was trolling me. Quite a few trolls this week. Most of the comments that I get on the actual YouTube page are like pretty supportive. Makes sense, people are subscribing, people are like following along. There are a few people who have been here from the beginning. I think I said this in my last live stream, but there are a few people who have been watching since I read aesthetic theory, and like some of them have been commenting. It's very nice. Hello, shout out to all of you. You know who you are. um and like the people who are like on the YouTube page, on the page for the videos, are obviously more likely to leave nice and supportive comments. But then on Reddit, the dreaded hell world of Reddit, is where you get a lot of trolls. And actually had to ban or block a troll this week because I found myself actually like engaging with them, or like even just like thinking about engaging with them, which is like obviously a very bad sign, because like it is very clear to me that this person is like 14 years old or something, or like somebody, even like some other person, some third party, like sent me a PM, a direct message on Reddit, saying that they were having like similar experiences with this user, like getting totally trolled by them, and then like finding themselves like dragged into actually engaging with them. And then they got banned from the BreadTube subreddit because they ended up like just getting so incensed by this person's like complete idiocy. Is very effective trolling, I suppose. But that person speculated that they were a CIA or some kind of like intelligence agency person, which is pretty funny to think about. I mean, who knows? Who the hell knows? They'd have to really be. I don't know like how many people these kinds of intelligence agencies are employing, whether or not they could actually like reasonably have people doing that kind of work, or what. I don't know if that's really realistic. If the CIA has like professional trolls, like trying to like discourage leftists from like making content on the internet. I mean, it's not out of the question, but what a terrible job to have. Like in order to like yourself avoid getting banned as just being like an outright troll, you have to like kind of like engage with the content at a some kind of like to a greater extent. And you have to like also be, because a lot of these leftist subreddits have like explicit rules that there are no right-wing ideologies allowed. So you have to be able to like frame your engagement in some kind of leftist rhetoric. And this user in particular was like very much into new left, like just complete fucking nonsense, utter nonsense, that like whatever. It's not worth talking about. But I think that's like the first time in so long that I've felt compelled to actually ban or block somebody. I don't know, I keep saying ban them from my life. But I feel like it is a bit of a cop out in a way. Not so much a cop out, but something about it is kind of like I don't know, admitting defeat, or like admitting that this person is getting to you, or um it's also like a form of capital punishment in a way, because there's no really going back from being blocked by somebody. I mean, there is, but you're kind of like terminating them in a final sense. Um, So that's that. What else? Oh yeah, next week, next Monday, I am interviewing a uh, a big shot, big time, big guy, Mr. Jasper Burns. He is one of the founding editors of Commune magazine. Which, speaking of cancellation, they definitely got canceled right out of business. You know, people have this unfortunate habit of just saying that cancellation is just nothing. Like when people talk about cancellation, all they're really talking about is social media mobs, and it never has any meaning beyond that. But that's not always true. Commune Mag got shut down because they got canceled so hard. John Raffman lost his job and will probably never have his job back because he got canceled so hard. Those are like real material consequences. Um, whether or not they deserved it, whether or not that was just, is another question. Again, I am not making a judgment about that. But anyway, Jasper Burns is not the individual is canceled, although um, in the testimony of the person who did the canceling, it's really the editorial collective who is to blame for not um, holding the person to account, the member of the collective who was being alleged to have done some rapes in this situation. It was definitely rape, not like kind of questionable or like abusive or manipulative behaviors, but something that could be tried in a court of law potentially, except that they're all abolitionists, so that was never part of the equation. But anyway, he is Jasper Burns, a pretty smart guy. He's got a pretty big following, an organic following. People who actually are interested in him and like engage with him. So hopefully once that comes out, I'll get some action. That's the only reason I'm doing this. I'm not doing this to contribute to any kind of knowledge base or like build a movement or anything like that. That's really just instrumental to the end here, which is glory, I guess. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. Why am I? I mean, I don't know if there's a single um like media outlet, whether it be an individual or some kind of organization, that is not in some way motivated by glory or some kind of personal ambition, some kind of egoistic drive. Although in the EndNotes Collective little About Me page, they specifically say that they tried to like undercut that motivating force by through like the structure of their organization, which is they are a collective, a reading group specifically. That is how that is like their primary function, and then the publishing is actually secondary to that. But what they really do is they read and they discuss texts, and their conversations are kind of ruthless. Like they have an agreement in advance that nothing is off the table in terms of conversation, what they're talking about. But also like the publications in themselves are also meant to be um, they don't come out on a schedule. They come out when they're ready, which is something that I really respect. Very good policy, I think. Took like 5 years or something for number 5 to come out, although they hit apparently a lot of publishing snafus. But anyway, my conversation with Jasper Burns, it's going to be part of the Fitness EndNotes podcast. It will be coming out not Monday, not tomorrow, not the Monday after that, but Monday after that. going to be recording it not tomorrow, but in 1 week from now. And what are we going to be talking about? Don't know. Gonna have to figure that out this week. The format that we agreed on, we would like kind of stick to the topic of his essay from volume 3, which is about logistics as like the kind of capitalist theoretical mapping of the worlds arising out of the 70s and the industrialization, the dip in global productivity, and the need to make things more efficient. They invented just-in-time production at that time, and the shipping containers and these just like humongous, vast global networks of production and distribution came out of that period. And his essay is kind of about a bit about like the mapping that and tracing the history of that, and theorizing it and drawing on a lot of like capitalist insider kind of data and theory about logistics technology and business and the economy that came out of, and then also like theorizing the tactic of the blockade, which is where you go and like interrupt logistical flows as like a kind of emergent tactic, like a disruptive tactic that is particularly relevant to our time because because of just-in-time production, because the world is more and more heavily dependent on these like constant circulating flows of commodity distribution and production. I mean, we saw that with the coronavirus pandemic. I got into this. Owen and I got into this in the podcast, but yeah, with the coronavirus pandemic, everybody is suddenly not being at work. A lot of vital commodities suddenly there were none of them, like very quickly, because things had always been produced not to excess, but precisely how many they knew they could sell were being produced. What am I going to talk about? I mean, the format that we agreed upon, again, it's supposed to be like sticking to the essay, and like he's actually written quite extensively on the same theme. He has an essay in number 5 that we haven't gotten to, but he has many essays in the intervening years kind of developing the same theme. He has another essay out this year called Planning and Anarchy, and I guess I'm gonna have to do some homework and read more from him to see like kind of how he's developed the thought and where I'm going to take it with him. Who knows? Who knows? He put out like a bunch of essays kind of in conversation with this guy named Alberto Toscano. We had like a little preliminary conversation, and he identified him as a Trotskyist. And those got collected into a little zine that I might read just in order to get a sense of the altercation, the disagreements that they had. Jasper's essays in Commune Mag. He has a few. He published a few in Commune Mag. I remember reading one called The Devil in the Green New Deal that was like pretty impactful. Let's see, is Commune Mag still up? It seems to be up, yes. So you can probably find, I think he wrote more than that, but he was mostly like the editor. Didn't write quite that much. But the essay Between the Devil and the Green New Deal is quite good. It's about environmentalism, and I don't remember to really summarize it for you, but yeah, you can still find it online. And then he has the one essay in EndNotes number 3, which I'd really suggest you check out. It's really great. Logistics, what is it called? Like logistics, counter logistics, and something else. And then He has another one called Revolutionary Motives in Endnotes 5 that I've not read yet. And he has like a bunch of, I think he writes like most of his published writing that is under his own name is pretty like academic. Like there, he writes, yeah, pretty academically. And so most of his stuff is in like kind of journals that might not be of interest to like the casual reader. I don't know, Nate Pith, if you like reading, academic writing, but his stuff for Commune magazine is like pretty accessible, and also for Endnotes, this counterlogistics one, there's a fair amount of like pretty like I don't know, there's a lot of terminology and a lot of theory in it, but it's still, he's like a very great writer. He like studied poetry, and he wrote a book about poetry. He like teaches English literature or something, so he's very immersed in narrative and like language. So he's actually like a good stylist, and his essay in Endnotes 3 is like, it has like a really strong narrative foundation that really like moves you through it. So even though there are a lot of references to a lot of theorists, and there's a lot of abstraction, and it's like dense in a lot of ways, it's still, he's able to like move you through it. So it's pretty compelling reading, and conveniently we have a podcast on it that we go through the contents of it, and kind of explain it, so you don't even really have to read it. Isn't that nice? And what am I going to read? I don't really know. I don't know how to prepare myself for this. The two interviews that I've done in the past, I did one with these two guys, Aaron Manning and Brian Masumi. They're not two guys; it's a man and a woman couple. Brian Masumi, famous for translating Deleuze and Guattari's writings. His translations are now like the standard that everybody reads. Aaron Manning, really big time academic, has like, very important position at Concordia University. So for that interview, I feel like I really just like let them talk, and basically nodded along, and then said, okay, we're done. um, and then I like typed it up, and Brian like edited it quite extensively. He edited their writing, and then I just like trimmed it down to like an acceptable like publishable length, from like 10,000 words to 2,000 words. That was actually quite a feat, but so I don't feel like I really did much for that. And then my other interview with Joshua Mufawad Paul, Maoist guy, for the same publication, The New Inquiry, I feel like I did a terrible job with, and I was really unprepared, and I just did a bad job. And like, if we had released both these interviews appeared in print, and if we had released the recording for that one, it would have been absolutely unlistenable. I was like stuttering, like completely unable to like formulate questions, like really intimidated, and like not really able, like prepared to like engage with it, and kind of like say my own views, and kind of like be conversational about it. This is very embarrassing. It's a wonder that we're able to like get something usable out of it. I don't even know if it's really readable. I haven't read it. I don't know if it is. I mean, there are a few things. There's one retweet of it got like 1,000 likes or something. Some That one little tidbit, at least, about how Foucault, the publishing industry. Is this scary? Ooh. Anyway, something about how like the CIA funded the publishing of a lot of these like French theory, like Foucault and Derrida and shit, because they knew that it was actually counter-revolutionary. They were heavily involved in like studying French theory, so-called radical French theory, and published a lot of the shittier stuff in order to like flood the marketplace and drown out the better stuff. So ever since I had that conversation with him, and since I read that essay by Gabriel Rockhill, I think that's his name, that where he actually like does the investigation and like reads the CIA documents about how they were like advocating for Foucault basically and Derrida. I always am like very attuned to the um, publications, like the printing industry as a whole, as it relates to like radical theory or theory in general. And I always like think that like when a book is out of print, then it must mean something. Because like if you go into any used bookstore, you'll find like 5,000 copies of Foucault, all of his like collected fucking notes or whatever. Like there's so much Foucault, they really like flooded the market with it. But then like Adorno, who is like this humongous influence, like he is huge. Like everybody who knows anything knows who Adorno is. He's a very popular name. He's like the principal Frankfurt School guy. He came up with a lot of like very important theories. The culture industry. He did a lot of like innovative work in dialectics. He really continued German idealism, that kind of tradition from Kant and Hegel and Marx into the 20th century. He's like the big German philosopher. He's certainly the biggest Frankfurter. But his two major works are out of print. What the hell does that mean? Must mean something. And then Lukács as well. Lukács is even like a more, I think, obvious example because like he was like an actual Soviet guy. He like lived behind the Iron Curtain. Adorno, he was like a bourgeois like Westerner. He advocated for modern art, and he lived in West Germany and America and everything. And he never like he got out of there, whereas Lukács was always behind the Iron Curtain, and like basically nothing of his is still in print. Like Soul and Form is not in print. No, I think Soul and Form is the only one that is in print. That was like his very first publication, like a publication, a collection of essays. But then like History and Class Consciousness is not in print. Hugely influential book that I haven't read because it's just too expensive. Like all of his studies on like Lenin, all of his literary stuff. Um, what's that other one? The huge one, Destruction of Reason, like this humongous, like 1,000-page philosophy book, like just going through basically all of German philosophy and like smashing it to bits from like a really hardline kind of Soviet Marxist position. It's not in print. It costs like $100 used. So to me, that is very suspicious. It's very interesting to me. Maybe I'm just reading too much. I'm just gonna go on Bookfinder right now and see if there's a copy of History and Class Consciousness for less than. I search for it like several times a week, just hoping that there's actually one. Only $26. Saying used, good condition. Tapa blanda. I don't know what that means. Envio en 3 à 4 días. That's sent in 3 or 4 days. Damn, that's a fucking good price. Amazon.es. Espanol. I want to read Adorno since I found your video reading as aesthetic theory. Do you think aesthetic theory is a good place to start reading Adorno for myself? Probably not. I'd say definitely not. But then there's no real good place to start reading Adorno. Like the fact is that he is like an incredibly difficult writer. He is in fact an intentionally difficult writer. It's like part of his writing strategy is to be very difficult, and then like his more accessible stuff like the culture industry, it's still difficult, but it's he's trying to like communicate more directly, but then it's just incredibly depressing. Like I remember when I read the culture industry, it was just such a black text. It was so depressing. I could not deal with it. It's very hard to deal with. Um, so yeah, I would say not aesthetic theory because it is just very difficult. It's like a hugely thick book and it's just like pure text. It's just really, you're going to find it really difficult to get through. I would probably start with some of his he has like a lot of collections of shorter pieces, and I think if you start there, then you're just gonna have you're gonna be more likely to actually get through them. So I'd start there. He has one famous longer essay called "The Stars Down to Earth," where he's like criticizing this. I think it's like an astrology column in like some LA newspaper when he was, LA that he came across. He has like a lot of writing on music, but I'd actually also recommend that you check out his lectures. I'm reading one right now. It's called Philosophical Elements for a Theory of Society. This was published in 2019, and this publisher, Polity Press, they're publishing all of his lectures. These are actually really accessible. There are a lot of them. So you could maybe go to Polity Press's website and see just look through the titles of his lectures, see if one of the seminars that he was doing is of interest to you, and then go with that, because these are his recordings of the lectures that he delivered to his students. And so it's written in a conversation. I mean, it's not written, it's dialogue, it's conversational. And it's certainly difficult. It's a university professor lecturing to I guess graduate students or something. But he's invested. I read some description where it talks about how he's invested in his students' success. So he's really carefully taking you through it. He really wants you to understand it. Those are a good place to start. I feel like I want to read a lot more of them. I just picked up this particular one. Not that I was particularly interested in sociology before I started reading this, but I picked it up because I found it at some bookstores recently published. So it's at some big Barnes and Noble style bookstore, and I had heard that his lectures were a lot more accessible, and they also illuminate a lot of his actual primary texts. His big books are Aesthetic Theory and Negative Dialectics. Negative Dialectics, again, it's one of those books that doesn't really exist. There was one printing of it in the 90s, but it's a very bastardized translation. The translation is really bad and you shouldn't read it. There are a lot of sections, and just the terminology is completely warped. There's the translator really trying to impose something on the text that wasn't there. He's trying to make it more comprehensible, which maybe it does make it easier to read, but it is not true to the text by any means. Not that any translation is really true to the text, but it's deliberately not true to the text. And then there's a I think his name is Redmond or something, but somebody did a kind of their own bootleg translation that you can find on the internet as a PDF or something. It was never actually printed. It was just some person who was really disappointed in the publishing status of Negative Dialectics, so he took it upon himself. I guess he knew German, but he took it upon himself to translate this dense work. And then there's another translation that is ongoing. It's underworks right now. I think there are a few chapters from it that you can find, but the last update, I think I did a bit of research into it, but the last update is from it's a decade ago or something, so who knows what's going on with that. But I would suggest going to the Polity Press website, Polity, and then looking through his lecture collections, seeing if there's one that is a seminar, because again, these are classes that he was teaching to students. See if there's one that's interesting to you, and then start there. And then also see if you can find any of his shorter works. I haven't read Minima Moralia, which is supposed to be aphoristic and kind of meditative, more personal. So that might be easier to read. But yeah, I wouldn't really jump in. And then also you could consider reading some of the secondary literature. I read one about aesthetic theory called Aesthetics of Illusion or something. I remember the author's name is like really weird. It's like Zuidevart or something. He's like some kind of Dutch guy, but that was. I mean, it. I wouldn't recommend that either. I mean, if you're going to read secondary literature, like I can't. I recommend that you be careful and selective, but I can't recommend specifically any. That one was like exhaustive, but it was like exhaustingly exhaustive. It kind of like ruined a bit of the. It really kind of like ruined aesthetic theory by like going into such depth, such detail, and I don't know. I feel like I learned some stuff about the book and like what Adorno was trying to say, and like some of his concepts and beliefs and whatnot. But I wouldn't really recommend that. I'm sure there's like a shit ton of secondary literature on Adorno, and some of it I'm sure is good. But I don't know. I can't say specifically which. I would, yeah, again, recommend sticking with the lectures and then his collections. Collections are mostly about music. I think he has one, not illuminations, but like fragments or something. Let me see here. Prisms? I don't know. I'm looking through his bibliography on Wikipedia, and I cannot see. It might have been called Interventions. Well, it's been an hour. Let's say. I wonder if there are less people here because I didn't put little adverts in each of the videos that I put out this week, or if it's just happenstance. Something happening. Is it Thanksgiving or something? Anyway, I'm gonna leave it. Be sure to I don't know. Have a nice day. Be sure to have a nice day. Yeah. See you tomorrow. Will be a podcast episode. It's gonna be a good one. The last one for Endnotes number 3 is a great essay. We had a great conversation, so I should actually do that this evening. I have to make the thumbnail and upload it and everything. But that'll be out tomorrow morning. Listen to that on your way to work or whatever. Then I feel like this week is probably going to be an assortment rather than trying to talk about one. And try to record a bunch of videos on Monday. Most likely it will be on an assortment of topics. I really have to get around to doing that. I know that YouTube has this feature where you can like record a video for subscribers, and I really have to say I have to like promote this Sunday live stream more, put it in the banner image or something. And I should also do like an introductory video. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Have a nice day, evening, nice week. Good luck to everybody out there. You're gonna get there. It's gonna be a good time. End.